A customer demanded I serve her after hours, screaming, "Your rules don't apply to me, I have money." When I politely declined, she smashed her purse onto the counter and shouted, "I'll get you fired for this." Just then, the owner walked in and said, "Actually, she's getting a bonus, and you're getting kicked out." Her face went white as security escorted her away. So this happened about 3 weeks ago. I, 29 female, work in a small family-run bookstore in Boston. It's not one of those big chains, it's the cozy type. With shelves, squeaky floorboards, and an actual bell above the door. We've got regulars, students from the university nearby, tourists who find us on accident. It's a peaceful job most days. But when it gets chaotic, it really gets chaotic. We close at 7 p.m. sharp. That's store policy. There are signs on the door, signs behind the register, and it's even printed on every receipt. I'm not just some clock watcher either. We all stick to it because the owner is strict about closing on time. Not to be rude or uptight, but he wants us to have a life too. He's one of the rare good ones. Anyway, this Tuesday started off slow. It was raining all day, barely any foot traffic. Around 6:50 p.m., I started doing the usual closing routine. Turned off the music, wiped down the counters, cashed out the register, etc. There were 2 customers left inside. I gave the usual, "Hey, just a heads up, we're closing in 10 minutes, and they nodded, no fuss. They both left right on time. I locked the door at 7:01 p.m. Literally locked it. I flipped the sign to closed and went back to the counter to finish up. Then it happened. Bang, bang, bang. Someone starts knocking on the door like they're being chased. I looked up, and there she was. Expensive coat, full face of makeup, perfect hair, even in the rain. I could already tell what kind of customer this was gonna be. The type who thinks rules apply to everyone else, but not her. I walk to the door and politely wave that we're closed. She points at the sign like I'm the one who can't read, and mouths, "Just 1 minute." I shake my head and mouth back, "We're closed." She knocks harder. I unlock the door just an inch, not even letting it swing open, and say calmly, "Sorry, ma'am. We closed at 7. She frowns. "I just need to grab something real quick." I understand, but I've already closed the register and locked up. She gives this smile, fake, cold. "I have money. It's not like you're going to lose anything. Just let me in." This is where I should mention I was alone in the store. The owner had left early that day for a meeting. I'm not some confrontational person, but I don't like being pushed around either. "I'm sorry, but I can't open the store after hours. It's policy." She rolls her eyes. "Your policy doesn't apply to me. Do you know who I am?" I deadpan, "No, I don't. I'm a very good customer here. I've spent thousands at this place." Funny thing? I'd never seen her before in my life. Still polite, still calm, I say again, "I'm sorry, I really can't help you tonight." Then she snaps. She shoves the door open with way more force than necessary, enough to smack into the bell and make it swing wildly. I had relocked it, but I must have not turned the key all the way because it gave way. She storms in, dripping rainwater all over the floor, and throws her purse on the counter like it's some kind of weapon. I demand to be helped. Right now. I step back and keep my voice even. "You can't be in here. I already closed." She starts yelling. "This is unacceptable. I will get you fired for this." Now here's the thing. I don't get scared when people shout. I get annoyed. But I stayed calm. I reached for my phone behind the counter, thinking I might have to call someone. She sees me do this and screams louder. "Who do you think you are? You're just a clerk. I spend more on coffee than you make in a week." At this point I just stared at her, silent. No words left. Just staring. Then, perfect timing, the back door creaks open. Guess who walks in? Mr. Whitman. The owner. Now Mr. Whitman is not some clueless old man. He may look like your retired professor grandfather, but he sees everything. He doesn't talk much, but when he does, people listen. He walks in, sets down his umbrella, and immediately clocks the scene. Woman yelling. Me silent. Purse still on the counter like it owns the place. He looks at me first. "Clara," I say, She came in after close. I told her no. She forced the door. He turns to her. Ma'am, the store is closed. She jumps into performance mode. Thank God you're here. This employee has been absolutely rude. She locked me out even though I told her I was a loyal customer. I have never been treated like this before in my life. I want her written up. Fired. Something. She just stood there and let me in the rain. Mr. Whitman just raises an eyebrow. Then he turns to me again. You told her we were closed? I nod. Multiple times. He pauses for a second, then sighs. Well, then, this is easy. He looks at the woman. Actually, she's getting a bonus. The woman blinks. What? And you're being asked to leave. She laughs like it's a joke. Excuse me? He points toward the door. You forced your way into my store after hours. You shouted at my staff. You disrespected my business. You're not welcome here anymore. Her jaw drops. You can't be serious. I know the mayor's wife. That's nice, he says flatly. Goodbye. That's when security showed up. Yeah, we have 2 off-duty officers who moonlight as night security for the nearby shops. They usually just walk the block, but Mr. Whitman must have called them on his way in because they were right behind him. They escorted her out while she was still mid-rant. Shouting about lawsuits, Yelp reviews, boycotts, you name it. She was gone in under a minute. I stood behind the counter, frozen. Then Mr. Whitman looked at me and said, "Good work tonight. I'll see you tomorrow." He didn't bring it up again. I haven't seen her since. But that's not the end. Not even close. A few days passed. Things seemed normal. We didn't hear anything about the incident. No emails. No phone calls. No surprise visits. I honestly thought maybe that woman had just walked away, embarrassed, and moved on with her life. I was wrong. It started with a phone call. I picked up the store phone around 3 p.m. on a Friday. Whitman Books, how can I help you? There was a pause. Then a clipped, high-pitched voice said, Is your manager in? I asked, May I ask who's calling? She ignored me. Manager. No. I transferred the call to Mr. Whitman's office. A few minutes later, he came out looking annoyed. Not angry, not stressed. Just like someone had tapped on a nerve he didn't want to be touched. Was that her? I asked. He nodded once. She says she's filing a complaint. I shrugged. Let her. But that's not what she did. The next morning, I got to work at 9 a.m. There were 2 women already waiting outside. Suits, notepads, name tags clipped to their jackets. One of them flashed a badge and said they were from the Boston Department of Consumer Affairs. They had gotten an official complaint. Discrimination and misconduct, the form said. Filed under my name. They weren't there to shut us down, but they were there to investigate. They asked questions. A lot of questions. Had I denied service to anyone based on income, race, age, gender? Had I ever raised my voice to a customer? Had I ever touched someone or made them feel unsafe? Mr. Whitman sat in the office with them, calmly answering every question. He showed them the footage from our security camera. It had full audio. Every word she said, every scream, every threat, it was all there. They thanked us and left. Said they'd follow up. Still, it shook me. I wasn't just mad, I felt humiliated. She was trying to make it seem like I was the problem. That I had done something wrong. It didn't stop there either. 2 days later, I got a letter at home. No return address. Inside was a single sheet of paper. You messed with the wrong woman. That's all it said. No signature. Just that. I showed it to Mr. Whitman. He looked worried but told me not to stress. Said it was probably just a scare tactic. But then customers started acting weird. A few people came in, looked around, then said things like, Is this the store with the rude girl? Or, I heard someone got kicked out for being rich. There was a rumor going around. She must have gone online and started spreading lies. Some post on Facebook, maybe a community group. I couldn't find it, but the damage was done. Mr. Whitman put out a short statement on our website. Just said that we respect all customers, but we also expect respect in return. It wasn't specific, but I knew who it was about. And so did she. Because that night, she came back. Again. It was almost closing time. I was sweeping near the back. I heard the bell ring and walked up to greet whoever it was. And there she stood. Same woman. Same coat. Hair a little messier this time, eyes wild. Thought you could get away with that, she said. I stayed behind the counter. You need to leave. You're banned from the store. She slammed a folder onto the counter. I'm suing you. I didn't even look at the papers. I'm calling the police. She smiled, this awful grin like she had all the time in the world. Go ahead. I already filed the paperwork. Harassment. Defamation. Denial of service. You think you're the victim? You think you'll win? I picked up the phone. She didn't wait. She turned on her heel and walked out. This time, Mr. Whitman did call the police. They took my statement. Took the camera footage again. Logged everything. They said she didn't technically do anything illegal that night, but they were building a report. If she showed up again, they'd take action. She didn't come back physically after that. But the damage wasn't over. The next week, I found out someone had posted fake one-star reviews under my name. Not the store's, mine. She was telling people I was rude, racist, that I insulted her for being well-dressed, that I shoved her out the door. Total lies. One review even said I screamed at a child, which was funny because there wasn't even a kid in the store that night. It was clear what she wanted. She wasn't trying to win. She was trying to break me down. Get me fired. Make me quit. Make me afraid to show up to work. But it didn't work. Because Mr. Whitman wasn't just some nice old guy who liked books. He used to be a lawyer. A good one. And he had a plan. The next twist came not from her, but from someone else entirely. It was a Thursday, middle of the day. Nothing out of the ordinary. I was helping a regular customer find a biography when my phone buzzed in my apron. I ignored it until I was back behind the register. When I checked, there was a new message from an unknown number. It said, "She's trying to get dirt on you. Thought you should know. I used to work with her." At first, I thought it was spam. Then, 5 minutes later, another message came in with a screenshot. It was a private message thread. My name was highlighted. So was the bookstore's. And the woman I recognized instantly. She was messaging someone, asking if they had anything shady or rude I'd done at previous jobs. She even offered money for a written complaint she could use in court. She was actively trying to bribe people into helping her destroy me. I called the number. A woman answered. She introduced herself. Let's call her Tony. She used to work in PR. She told me she had worked with this woman, who I now knew was named Blair, and that Blair had a long history of getting into legal fights with small businesses. And not just fights, she targeted them. Claimed discrimination, demanded settlements, and if they didn't fold, she'd try to ruin their reputation online. It was a pattern. Tony said, she gets off on control. She's rich, but not happy. You stood up to her. That's your real crime. I was stunned. This woman had turned me into some personal crusade. I told Mr. Whitman everything. He didn't blink. We're taking this to court, he said. He didn't mean being sued by her. He meant suing her back for harassment, defamation, and attempted extortion. Tony was willing to testify. So we lawyered up. That's when she got really messy. Over the next few days, several strange things happened. First, someone spray-painted the word liar on our back door. Second, an anonymous email went out to the university nearby warning students that our store discriminated against people with wealth. Third, a fake Google listing popped up, same name as our store, but with a fake phone number and one-star reviews. All of it traced back to her. We couldn't prove it yet, but it was obvious. And then, she made a mistake. She used the fake phone number to try and schedule an interview with a local news blogger. She posed as a whistleblower. The blogger, curious, did a little digging. They reached out to us for a comment before publishing the story. Instead of freaking out, Mr. Whitman invited the blogger to the store. He showed them the security footage, the complaint letter, the police report, even the screenshots Tony had saved. It was all there. The blogger didn't just drop the story, he published a new one. Title: When Customers Weaponize Entitlement, The Cost of Standing Up for Staff. It went viral. Hundreds of shares. Thousands of views. The comments section lit up. People started showing up at the store, not to protest, but to support. Regulars brought coffee and flowers. Someone left a post-it on the counter that said, "Don't let the psychos win." And then we got the letter. It was from her lawyer. She was dropping the lawsuit. But she wanted us to do the same. Mutual withdrawal. No apology. No admission. Just pretend it never happened. Mr. Whitman asked me what I wanted to do. I said no. So we pushed forward. The police pulled phone records. Turns out, Blair had created 2 fake email accounts using her own IP address. She'd also used the store's Google listing phone number to prank call another bookstore across town, pretending to be me. We had the recordings. She crossed the line into criminal territory. We filed new charges. And just when I thought it was over, Blair's husband walked into the store. It was a quiet afternoon. He came in wearing a hat pulled low and sunglasses, like he was trying not to be recognized. I was alone. He walked up to the counter and said quietly, "Can we talk?" I said nothing. He took off his glasses. "I just want to apologize." I stared at him. Didn't say a word. "She's not well," he said. I tried to stop her. "She's done this before." But this time, it got out of hand. I still didn't speak. "She's in trouble now. You're not the first person she's hurt, but you might be the last." Then he left. And now? We're still waiting for the court date. But she's silent. No more threats. No more messages. No more spray paint. No more lies. Just silence. It feels like the eye of a storm. But I'm ready. Because she may have money, but she messed with the wrong person this time. And the story's not over yet. Let me know if you want to keep going. The court part gets intense. The court hearing was set for 10 a.m. on a Monday. I didn't sleep the night before. Even with all the evidence, all the witnesses, all the truth on our side, my stomach twisted with nerves. I kept thinking, what if the judge buys her act? What if she cries and plays victim again? What if somehow, after everything, she still walks away clean? We showed up early. Mr. Whitman, our lawyer, Tony, the ex-PR worker turned witness, and me. Blair was already there, sitting with her own lawyer. She looked different. No more perfect hair. No big expensive coat. Just a plain black blazer and flat shoes. She didn't look at me. Not once. The courtroom was quiet except for the typing of the court reporter's keys. It started with Blair's lawyer. He tried to paint her as misunderstood. Said she'd felt unsafe during the first incident and was just trying to shop. Said she had every right to file a complaint and that our response was an overreaction. Then our lawyer took over. He played the footage. He showed the messages. He brought out the spray paint photos. He called Tony up to testify about Blair's past behavior, about how she tried to pay people to lie, about how she bragged that she could make anyone disappear with the right words. Then it was my turn. I stood up, palms sweaty, and told the truth. Every word. How I told her we were closed. How she forced her way in. How she screamed at me. How she came back, sent threats, faked reviews, and tried to ruin my name. At one point, I looked over. Blair's face was frozen. She wasn't crying. She wasn't angry. She just looked like someone who knew it was over. The judge didn't take long. He ruled in our favor. Said Blair's actions were not only false but malicious. Said it was an abuse of legal systems designed to protect the real victims. He ordered her to pay fines, legal fees, and damages to both me and the store. But that wasn't the ending. The ending came later. 2 weeks after the ruling, I got another letter. But this time it wasn't a threat. It was a copy of a police report. Blair had been arrested again. Different case. Same pattern. She tried to pull the same stunt at a spa in a nearby town. This time, she assaulted someone. Pushed an employee so hard they hit a mirror and got stitches. It made the news. Turns out, after our case, her name was flagged in a system for fraud and harassment. They were building a file. Ours had been the tipping point. She was facing real jail time now. And here's the twist. Her husband filed for divorce 2 days after her arrest. Filed a restraining order, too. Took full custody of their daughter. So no, she didn't walk away. She burned everything. As for me, I stayed at the bookstore for another year. Then I left. Not because I was scared. Because I realized something. I let her get to me. I spent nights crying over her, shaking with rage, walking on edge for months. I let her live rent-free in my head for far too long. So I made a promise. I would stop carrying her with me. I'd move on, but I'd remember. Not because I wanted revenge anymore, but because I'd stood up for myself. I fought back when it counted. And because some people are lessons you survive. Not everyone gets that chance. But I did. And I took it. I still have the first letter she sent me. It's framed now. Next to my court win.